Is anyone else getting tired of this? I feel like every single month now, the YouTubers in the Nintendo community has to find something to doom about. Last month it was stocks, before that it was sales numbers. It just seems like there's always something to yap about for clicks, and it's usually anything but discussion about the games themselves. And I'm not just referring to grifters. Of course, there are the grifters and sodium chloride YouTubers out there, but there are also genuine Nintendo YouTubers who buy basically every Nintendo product who are participating in this as well. And trust me, I'm not a Nintendo shill. I will call out Nintendo's bad business practices when necessary. Like, you will never catch me defending Nintendo's takedowns of emulators, their lawsuits, $80 games, or issues with Nintendo Switch Online. But at the same time, I'm mainly here for the games, and as long as the games are enjoyable, I'm satisfied. That's why the constant doomerism across the Nintendo YouTube scene is kind of annoying. I'm perfectly satisfied with things like Bonanza and Air Riders, but Nintendo YouTube will try to convince you that we're starving for a new 3D Mario, or will undersell Air Riders because it's niche. And that brings me into the topic of this video. The fact that there's a sentiment spreading about Nintendo having a streak of mid-games, as technically every game that they published between November and now have a score in the 70s. And in general, I just think this is a ridiculous argument for multiple reasons. For one, 7 out of 10 games aren't even bad. In fact, that is the baseline score of a good video game. I feel like a lot of people, mostly Americans, have been convinced that a score in the 70s is bad because in the American school system, that is viewed as a subpar grade, as most people work towards mastering the material to the best of their abilities. While this mindset is understandable in an academic setting, when looking at video games, I feel like that's a bit unreasonable. Games are not perfect. Games don't have a clear-cut correct or incorrect answer. It's much more nuanced than that. A 70 to 80 score is still 70 to 80% good, and only 20 to 30% flawed. Most 7 out of 10 games have some enjoyment to them at the very least, and that enjoyment can vary from person to person. And that brings me into my next point. Review scores should not be the deciding objective factor on whether a game is good or not. Sure, they do play a role and do have a reason to exist, but oftentimes, the opinions of reviewers greatly differ from the opinions of fans or the average gamer. Look at the original Kirby Air Ride, for example. That got a score of 61 on Metacritic, but still became a cult classic among fans over the years, and was considered one of the best Kirby spin-offs and multiplayer GameCube games. I don't think reviewers are as incompetent as some people make them out to be. Like, I respect ones like Logan Plant at IGN quite a lot, as well as some others, but oftentimes they don't fully understand the appeal of certain games, especially multiplayer games, or review games that don't suit their taste, or rush through their playthroughs to get their reviews out. Finally, all of the games that the Nintendo YouTube scene has been deeming 7 out of 10 games are all on the cusp of the 80s, and are just being falsely rounded down to just simply 7 out of 10 to fit their narrative. On top of that, multiple of these games are considered to be good, if not great by their respective fanbases. Like Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, while nothing super mind-blowing, was a solid, inoffensive Warriors game that has a 79 on Metacritic. That actually makes it the highest scoring Hyrule Warriors game, so it turned out pretty well. And Kirby Air Riders also has a 79 on Metacritic, but it has an 8.7 user score and is already being considered one of the best games in the Kirby franchise, as well as a modern multiplayer classic. Honestly, the fact that some YouTubers are lumping this game into what they consider to be mid-Nintendo games is almost kind of insulting, and is partially the reason why I made this video in the first place. It's kind of baffling how many content creators are underselling this game, or are even straight up not even acknowledging the game when discussing the fact that the Switch 2 doesn't have any games. And then, Metroid Prime 4 has a 78 on Metacritic, and while I do have some issues with this game, and I do feel like the frustration among Metroid fans about some of this game's decisions are valid, that doesn't change the fact that this is still, at the very least, a decently good game. And then finally, the most recent game is Mario Tennis Fever, which scored a 77 on Metacritic. This was likely the reason why we've been seeing a trend of videos like this in the first place, and to that I say, what were you expecting this game to score? It's quite literally a tennis game. No matter how good the Mario sports games are, they are basically destined to have a score in the 70s, maybe the low 80s if we're extremely lucky. And even then, despite the reviews, this game is still very enjoyable. It is much better than the Mario sports games that released during the Switch 1 era. I feel like this is just proof that a lot of content creators are hyper-focused on the review scores rather than their actual opinions on the games themselves. Like seriously, what happened to sitting down, playing a game, and forming your own opinion on it? You can't truly deem a game as being good, bad, or mid unless you actually play it. If you've played Hyrule Warriors, Air Riders, Prime 4, and Tennis Fever, and found all of them to be mid, then go ahead. Say Nintendo's in a mid streak. At the very least, your opinion would be validated. But no one is actually going to do that, because 1, it's easier to take things at face value and make doomerish or borderline rage bait content out of it. And 2, you may actually find the games, or at least one of the games, to be good, making it seem dishonest to make that type of claim. But as a certain person on the line taught me, I shouldn't lecture people who aren't actually watching this video. So my advice to you guys is to just ignore this type of content if you're tired of it. There's an easy way to stop seeing this stuff on your feed. Just click the 3 dots next to the video and press Do Not Recommend Channel. And just form your own opinions by playing games rather than obsessing over review scores. But anyways, that's just my take on this whole situation. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. And thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!